Find a way, baby. Fever down. Bow, bow, bow.
Man, I think it's the next step up mentality as far as players. Our shifts keep changing. Everybody doing a different role, and so I think we all got the mentality where you give and you sacrifice, and I think that's what y'all see.
The Indiana Fever just pulled off something nobody saw coming. Without Caitlin-Clark on the court and facing a Dallas Wings team hungry for redemption after a tough loss to the Sparks the night before, all signs pointed to disaster. A crowd of 20,049 packed the arena expecting to witness Clark face off against Paige Bueckers for the first time in the WNBA, but instead, they witnessed something even more remarkable. In the final minutes, the Fever showed a level of heart, grit, and determination that will forever change how fans see this team. And after the game, Aliyah Boston summed it all up in 6 powerful words that captured exactly why this win meant everything. If you support the Fever, comment "I've got the Fever" down below. Let us.
Yeah, I think for us, it's about knowing that basketball is a game of runs, and they made their run that third quarter, and honestly, just continue to stay composed and take it each possession at a time is something that we've been working on. And so for us, that was our focus: is get a stop, go down and score, get another stop, and we try to get a kill.
Picture this. A massive build-up that had the entire WNBA world buzzing. Clark versus Bueckers, the #1 pick from 2024 against the top pick from 2025. This wasn't just another regular season game. It was the matchup fans had been dreaming of since draft night. The Dallas Wings knew they had something special on their hands, so they made a bold move. They shifted the game from their usual home at College Park Center to the massive American Airlines Center home of the Dallas Mavericks. Think about that. You don't move a game to a 20,000-seat arena unless you know something monumental is about to unfold. And fans responded fast. Tickets were flying. The buzz was everywhere. Social media exploded with anticipation. This was set to be the showdown that would not only break attendance records, but also show the world just how far women's basketball.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It really is a day-to-day thing, and I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. It's anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
Then boom, just 2 nights before the game, Caitlin-Clark's groin injury flares up, and suddenly the most hyped matchup of the season is in serious doubt. What was supposed to be a marquee showdown between Clark and Bueckers instantly becomes a giant question mark. Thousands of fans had bought tickets specifically to see these 2 young stars go head-to-head, and now the main attraction might not even step on the court. The buzz turned to concern, and the WNBA world held its breath.
I feel a disappointment for them more than anything because, you want them to see her at her best and us at our best. I hate that for fans. But at the same time, again, for us as a team and for Caitlin as a person and player, her health and wellness is the priority.
But here's the thing that made the whole situation even more intense. The Fever had just been absolutely destroyed by the Los Angeles Sparks the night before. We're talking about a team that looked completely lost without their star running the show. The pace was sluggish, the ball movement was disjointed, and Aliyah Boston barely touched the ball. Everything that usually makes Indiana dangerous fell apart the moment Caitlin-Clark wasn't on the court. Confidence was shaken, and the doubts were louder than ever heading into the most anticipated game of the season.
I think the biggest thing for us is our attention to detail in our screening. We've got to be great screeners. We got to make sure we slow down and use our screen and our spacing. We've had some games where our spacing has been poor, and that has not allowed Kelsey to get downhill, and it hasn't allowed space for Aliyah to get going either. So I think that the 2 most important things for us right now offensively is attention to detail and screening and spacing.
Dallas was absolutely licking their chops heading into this matchup. They had seen exactly what happens when the Fever play without Caitlin-Clark. The offense stalls, Aliyah Boston gets overlooked, and the entire system breaks down. After watching Indiana get blown out by the Sparks the night before, this looked like the perfect chance for the Wings to make a statement against a wounded team that had been struggling to find its rhythm. But here's what nobody saw coming. Even with Clark not confirmed to play, 20,049 fans still packed the American Airlines Center. That's right, despite the uncertainty, the game set a new Texas women's basketball attendance record. Let that sink in. The most anticipated matchup of the season lost its headliner just 2 nights before tip-off, and still, fans showed up in record-breaking numbers. That's not just hype, it's a reflection of something bigger. It speaks to the power of this budding rivalry between Clark and Bueckers, and even more so, to the explosive growth of women's basketball as a whole. Fans didn't just come for one player, they came for the energy, the competition, and the belief that something special is happening in the WNBA. And they were right.
We'll start Ari today. We'll start her and bring Sid off the bench a little bit. I don't want to take Kelsey out of what she naturally does instinctually on the wing and overload her from a point guard perspective. So with having Ari and having Sid, they'll give us a couple different looks right there.
The Wings walked into that game thinking they had a wounded animal cornered. With Caitlinclark sidelined and Indiana coming off a brutal loss, it looked like the perfect setup for Dallas to dominate. But Fever head coach Stephanie White had other plans. In a move that shocked everyone, she started Ari McDonald for the first time all season, completely shaking up the lineup and throwing out the script everyone expected. It was a bold decision, one that could have led to disaster or something unforgettable. What happened next revealed something about this Fever team that even their most loyal fans didn't fully realize. The stage was set, the stakes were high, and then the first quarter tipped off. Instead of collapsing without Clark, the Fever exploded right out of the gate. Ari McDonald brought an intensity and speed that caught everyone off guard. She pushed the pace like her life depended on it, attacking the Wings' defense relentlessly and setting the tone from the very first possession. It wasn't just survival, it was a statement. The Fever showed they're not a one-player team. They showed heart, depth, and a fire that had been waiting to break through. And they weren't done yet.
Charles can't finish.
Gotta finish that.
Oh, beautiful pass. McDonald counted in one.
Run.
Ari McDonald was everywhere, running the floor, breaking down the defense, and getting everyone involved in ways that made you forget Caitlinclark wasn't even playing. Dallas came into the game with a simple plan: shut down Kelsey Mitchell, and the Fever would fall apart. That had worked for other teams. But suddenly, the Wings were facing something they hadn't prepared for. McDonald's relentless downhill attack completely threw their strategy out the window. She was blowing past defenders, collapsing the defense, and dishing out passes that opened up lanes Indiana hadn't seen all season. The offense wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. The Wings were scrambling, their defensive rotations a step late, their coverage stretched thin. What was supposed to be a predictable, one-dimensional attack without Clark turned into a whirlwind of motion, pace, and unpredictability. McDonald was the spark, igniting a Fever offense that looked faster, sharper, and more confident than it had in weeks. Dallas came in expecting to hunt a weakened opponent, but what they got was a team playing with nothing to lose and everything to prove.
Can't finish.
As a big, you gotta lean in. You can't be falling away.
McDonald has been outstanding.
Here's what makes this even more incredible. Ari McDonald goes perfect from the field in the first quarter, but it's not just about the shots she's making, it's the decisions behind them. She's playing with poise, making smart, unselfish plays that open up opportunities for everyone else on the floor. Her presence completely changes the flow of the offense. The Fever come out and hit their first 7 shots in a row, 7 straight, makes to start the game against a defense that thought it was walking into an easy night. That kind of execution is rare, especially for a team missing its star. It wasn't just hot shooting, it was rhythm, confidence, and total control. McDonald wasn't trying to replace Caitlinclark, she was leading in her own way, and the rest of the team followed. What was supposed to be a collapse turned into a showcase.
Inside, can't get it. Lee Yu-Ru can't. Here comes Natasha Howard. 9-0 run for Indiana. Lexi Hull carries the three. You gotta get out on her, ladies. She's shooting 51% from beyond the arc.
This is a
Aliyah Boston finally started getting the touches she'd been missing, and you could see her confidence grow with every possession. With Ari McDonald pushing the pace and forcing the Wings to account for her speed, Boston suddenly had the space she needed to operate. No longer buried in a stagnant offense or waiting endlessly in the post, she was getting the ball in the right spots deep in the paint, facing single coverage, and ready to go to work, and she delivered. Boston scored efficiently, using her footwork and strength to punish defenders inside. She controlled the glass with purpose, grabbing rebounds like she'd been waiting all season for this exact moment. With Clark out, this wasn't just a test of the Fever's depth, it was a reminder of who Aliyah Boston is when she's given the chance to dominate. The Wings had no answer. The defensive attention McDonald demanded opened the door, and Boston kicked it wide open.
Shooting to open the game. The Wings are only 2 of 14. Howard lobs it inside Boston, and Maisha Hines-Allen got lost. Allowed for the easy 2.
and you down to Natasha, and she's going to get in the paint. And so the defense has to step up to protect the drive, and now she puts that air on the ball, and AB is able to finish that shot at the rim. That was beautiful.
The crowd that came expecting to see Caitlinclark face off against Paige Bueckers ended up witnessing something entirely different, something arguably even more powerful. They watched a team discover its identity, not through one superstar but through 5 players stepping up and moving as one. This wasn't about someone carrying the load, it was about collective effort, unselfish play, and a shared fire that ignited the entire roster. By the end of the first quarter, Indiana led 33-13. Let that sink in. They outscored Dallas by 20 points in just 12 minutes. The Fever didn't just survive without Clark, they stunned everyone in the building. Even some Dallas fans were on their feet, applauding the level of basketball they were witnessing, something you rarely see for a visiting team. This game was a statement. It was about grit, depth, and belief. And if you're a Fever fan, you couldn't ask for more. If you've got the Fever, drop a comment below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a moment. Click the video on screen for more coverage. We'll see you in the next one.